Hello, everyone. So, today in this session, we want to focus on creating one's own penetration testing lab. Remember, we are doing ethical hacking, and it's illegal to do this kind of stuff for unauthorized network or unauthorized system. So, you as an ethical hacker, you will need to have your own lab so that you can test the skills that you get from different sources, and of course, testing different scenarios without before executing them in a production environment. And this is applicable even in when you are doing actual penetration testing. There are some kind of exploit that you may know that you can run them. Maybe you have acquired a client and you see there is this vulnerability, but there are some kind of exploit. They are kind of dangerous in such a way that if you learn them without knowing exactly what they are going to do on your client machine, you may end up in the bad side of the equation. So you will need to test them in your own lab before executing them in your client or in a given environment. But for the purpose of this session, we just need to have a lab so that we can practice what we are learning in this channel as a basic or as a startup. So in reality, there are two ways of having this penetration testing lab. Today we are doing the first way. The first way or the basic way is you create your own lab. You create your own virtual machine. So if you want to attack Windows, Active Directory, you need to have your virtualization platform. Like me, I'm using Oracle VirtualBox. So somewhere I need to have like Active Directory machine, and by attacking machine, then doing the execution accordingly. Then if I need to test or to validate a certain vulnerability that I've ran so far, I want to employ it, then I'll need to have another VM or another service installed in my given environment. Because we know in reality, when we talk about ethical hacking, we have two sides. We have attacking machine or attacking network, then we have a victim or the target that you are attacking. So you need to have these sides, all of them in your given network when you are doing this test. So today we are going to put a basic lab so that we can proceed with some of the training that will move on. And of course, also I got some many feedback from the previous session, though I emphasize that I'm not talking about the tools, but people have been asking, I've tried these tools, is failing, and then what? And there are reasons behind, of course. The knowledge was not conveyed. As I said, the last session was just a stage. But if you finish this session, you can also relearning the workflow that we did in the last session about ethical hacking stage, because the machine is the same. So you can learn it exactly as it was executed. But from here onwards, we'll be using now these custom labs to do the penetration or ethical hacking testing and learning from different concepts. That is the first approach, and it's the common approach, and it's the basic approach. But for those who are serious like me in cybersecurity, you are not supposed to ending in this basic approach. I advise you need to have these private labs, the labs that have been dedicated for penetration testing. Of course, they are available through VPN. Most of them are paid, of course, are paid version. But the good thing about those labs is you don't bother to start creating these boxes. Of course, now it's easy, as we are going to see in this session. But as we move on, we will have different scenarios, different skills, different exploitation techniques to employ. So at each and every concept covered, you will have to prepare your lab session first. And of course, I will not be doing for every session that I'm going on, of course. Though those sessions that will be covered, most of them you can replicate them using the same lab that we are going to do it now. But as I said, if you are serious, you need to access these dedicated private labs, because the good thing about them, you don't waste time to create these machines and virtual machines and so and so. And then even more competitive advantage that I like about them, you may have the same machine, but configured in a such a way that it is easier for you to hack. But the same machine has improved configuration, maybe like a firewall on, or they are kind of intrusion detection system on the same machine. So it means this previous attack workflow that you used will not work in the same machine. So because the configuration has changed, you have to evolve your skills. So it's easy to have those variation in those kind of private labs. Of course, they are paid ones, but the amount you paid is as nothing as the time you would spend to configure those labs in the way that they have been configured in the same lab but in different scenario. So this second approach that we are not going to do now is the one that I strongly advise for anyone who is serious. Of course, even in my presentation, you will see most of the lab that I'll be using. The IP, you will see them, but you may not be able to access them because they are private labs. But as I said, because the concept that will be derived, and if you understand them, you can replicate them using this lab that we are going to do now. Because if we are talking about maybe web application attack, we just need to have a web application that you can do in your testing. And of course, they are free, vulnerable web applications. So we'll be talking more as we proceed. But today, let's go to create this kind of environment. So our attacking machine, already we have the Kali Linux here. So we need to have maybe a numbers of machine or some kind of a box that can have a number of vulnerable web application and network application, whatever that we can use to test. Now, there are different ways we can do that, but the way that I want us to use is to use the same company that has created the most famous penetration testing framework, Metasploit. They also have created a Linux box, which is intentional vulnerable machine that you can use it to test most of the basic things in ethical hacking and penetration testing. As I said, if you do this, even the last video, you can rerun it by using the same box that we are doing now. And of course, for the coming videos, you may just replicate it. If you understood the concept, you can apply it in this box. Though the IP may be different or the actual machine may be different, but the concept is the same, the tools are the same, the technique is the same. So for us, we are going to use the so-called Metasploitable machine version 2, of course. So all you need is to search for this particular machine, Metasploitable, and you light in the Google Metasploitable 2. You will have a numbers of alternative of accessing it. So I advise you to use these SourceForge downloads. The Rapid 7 links, they are there, but you need to register. And it's a kind of a lengthy process. But this one, you just go straight to download. And of course, as I said, the Rapid 7, the company that has developed it, and of course is currently supporting Metasploit framework, both community and provision, they are the one responsible for this machine Metasploitable tool. So you just click this download link, and then you have this download here. You click download, then it will start download. But as I said, as for me, I've already downloaded, so I don't need to re-download it. But for you, you will click here, and then downloading will start. So after downloading, you will have your files in a zipped way, like the one I'm having mine here. So all you need is to extract it. And then after, depending on your given environment, all you need to have a virtualization platform. If it's a VM player, if it's a VirtualBox, hypervisor, whatever that you are conversant with. Because this Metasploitable, the way it is prepared, it's a ready-made virtual machine hard disk. You just plug it to a given virtualization platform, then you start learning. So you will need to extract it, of course, like as I said, it will depend on your given platform. For me, this is how I'm doing because I'm using Ubuntu. So you extract the zipped file that you have just downloaded from the SourceForge, of course, as I've directed here. You wait for it to complete. Yes, it's done. And then what you will have after extraction is a folder like this one. So what follows next is for you to go to a virtualization platform and starting creating that virtual machine so that you can do the penetration testing from the previous video and the next video. As I said, the tools and concept may be almost the same. You can just replicate them in this video. In this particular lab. So you say, because I'm using VirtualBox, Oracle VirtualBox, so I'm demonstrating by it. But you are going to use your particular virtualization platform. So you can call it whatever. Me, I put it Meta for this demonstration. And then you choose the operating system. Of course, this is the Linux box. So you can choose whatever distribution, though it is a Debian based. So I choose this Debian based, then you choose next. Then you set the memory for this kind of Metasploitable machine. Even 1 GB is enough and 1 CPU is enough, but you can put 2. And of course, if you have enough memory, you can also put 2 GB. So you click next. And here is the place that you are going to locate your downloaded Metasploitable. So here you are not creating a virtual hard disk now, or you don't add anything. You use an existing virtual hard disk. And here you are going to locate where you have extracted your Metasploitable machine. So me, I'm going to where it is, and you are going to your particular folder. And the file that you are supposed to locate, it will be highlighted because it's known by virtual machine platform. It's .vmdk. So you just open it, there it is, then you click choose, then there it is, it has been choose, you click next, everything is there, okay, then you click finish. It means now I have my Metasploitable machine, and as I said, this single machine has a numbers of components that are usable for learning and for testing these ethical hacking skills. The vulnerable web application are there, some network penetration testing you can test by using the same box, and so and so and so. So it will be easier for you. As I said, if you want to recall the last session, you can use this box, and of course the next session also you can also use the same box. As I said, for me, I'll be using the private lab, but because the knowledge and the skill and the workflow is the same, you can replicate them by using this box from here onwards, of course. So what you need is just now to start selecting it as it is being highlighted here. Then you tell it to start. Then you just wait for it to start. And all you need to do now is to wait. And remember here, you are not like installing it. You are just starting it. The hard disk was already created. So you are just booting the particular operating system of supporting Metasploitable. And then there you are for login. So for login to this Metasploitable machine, the login username is MSF admin, as I've just typed there. MSF admin. That's the login name. MSF admin. This is the single word. And the password is the same. MSF admin. Now, there it is. You have already logged in. All you need is to check the IP, because as I said, this will be like your victim machine or target machine in many scenarios that you will see in ethical hacking and penetration testing. So if config tells me the IP for now, this is the IP I have so far. And if you remember, it's the same IP that I've just used in my previous video. So you can use it exactly the same if you are using it in this configuration or in this manner. But there it is. For now, it's done. You have already installed it. All you need is to use. But what I want to talk now, I'm going to close this box, is about virtual machine network configuration, because this is very important, especially when you're talking about having vulnerable machine in your own PC. So if this is my particular Metasploitable whatever machine, for me to configure the network, I'm going to settings after, of course, selecting it, because here is the one that has been rated. If I choose this one and I'm going to settings, then I'll be affecting this particular box. But for here, I'm focusing on this Metasploitable that we have just plugged in so far. Then I'm going to settings, then going to network. So you can see by default, for my case, like Oracle VirtualBox, it allows me to have like 4 networks card on the single machine. That means you may have different networks on the same machine. Now, you need to know more about this, your particular virtual machine and network configuration. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the VirtualBox network option and what does what and what does not what. Those issues, if you have them, you can just prompt me on my WhatsApp number. I can help you. But for today, I just want to go straight to put a network configuration that is safe for you to use this vulnerable machine in your given network. Because remember, if you put it in a network in such a way that is accessible by other people who are connected in the same network by you, it means you are making your complete lab, and of course even your own laptop or your own desktop also vulnerable. Because remember, that particular Metasploitable is intentional vulnerable Linux box. So if someone finds it, can just exploiting it and gain access of it, then even moving further to starting exploiting now the host operating system, the one that is hosting that particular VirtualBox, and going in further and further and further. So today I'm just focusing there to configure it in such a way that it is not accessible by, outside your, it's not accessible outside your virtual machine guest network. Yeah, that's the purpose. So you can have different network, but the network that I'm concerned today, of course, here you can have different cards, and of course setting different networks. I just want you to see first. If I want to enable another card, I just click here, then enable, then I'm using. But I'm just focusing on this single card. Then the option you have, there are varieties of option. And among them, of course, some of the option they allow you to access the particular guest operating system, the operating system you are given virtual machine from your host. Some of them allows you to access them from your, I mean, from the whole LAN that your particular host machine is connected with. And some of the network configuration restrict your virtual machine to access internet. Some of them they allow that. As I said, it's not the focus of me to discuss the all possible configuration of virtual box, of course, the Oracle VirtualBox. You can run it, but if you have issue, you can query me. But for today, I want us to create a network that we can use for our penetration testing labs. And of course, that means any machine that we need to be accessing our penetration testing lab, we are going to add it in that particular network. And of course, that network will only be accessed by those virtual machines. You can't access it outside the outside the guest machine, meaning even from your own host machine, you can't access it. And of course, it cannot access the internet to or from. So to do that, we use the so-called NAT network. But this NAT network, you have to create them first. Because here, if I will choose NAT network, I'll need to specify which NAT network I'm supposed to use. So for me, I've already created one called lab network. What it means, if I need to have like a numbers of machines that all of them, I want them to be in the same network, I will just choose NAT network and specify that lab network for all those machines. Then whenever I'm going to access them, even if they may have a multiple network card, one of the card will have an IP that I can access it. And that particular machine cannot be accessed outside that ecosystem of guest virtual machine that are in a particular NAT network. For my case is lab network. So first you will need to create, because you may not have it at all. So I'm discarding changing. And for my Oracle VirtualBox, I'm going here to tools. Now it depends on your particular virtual machine. Yeah, to here tools, then it will give me this view. Now here is where I can add or remove different kind of network. Like here I have a host only network and I have one, but my case here, I'm focused on NAT network. So I will choose this NAT network, then I will say add. Then you can see the NAT network is added here. So here I can rename it, like maybe give it name like lab 2, something like that. Yeah, lab 2, and maybe even applying it here. You can see it's a NAT network, but it's lab 2. And of course, here also you see an IP range that will be distributed on your given network. So you can change it or you can leave it as it is. And of course, if you don't enable the HTTP, it means you will have to assign those IP address manually, but you have to enable it so that whenever you assign the box to be in that network, it will get the network in the same lane. So here I'm done. The network is already been created. So what I need is going back to my virtual machine, for this case, my Metasploitable, then to network settings, then going to network. And of course, as we said, we are going to use NAT network. Now for the new correct network is lab 2. So I'm clicking it OK, then there am I. So if I've done it that way and I want to access this box maybe from my Kali Linux like this one, so I need also to go to the Kali Linux and make sure that one of the card in Kali Linux is in the same network as this this Metasploitable box. So like for this case, I'm going to Kali Linux, then to network settings, then to network, setting, then to network, then changing this one also to NAT network, and of course lab 2. So this other card may have different network, and it's okay if maybe you want also your Kali Linux to access the internet, then you may configure other network types like NAT or bridge or using port forwarding, whatever. But as I said, here I just want to create a scenario that your lab is safe. So the same network that I've created so far, there. So it means if I'll power on this machine, and I will power on this machine, the IP that I'll be finding here after it being booted and being logged in is accessible by this Linux machine. So from there onwards, by just knowing the IP here, I can continue with my penetration testing skills practices or ethical hacking practice. So you can, after doing that, you can retest the previous session that we did exactly if you want to execute it without my. Though I said there I was not focused on the tools, but I had to do this video first so that when we move forward, you know where you can test the skill that will be demonstrating. So login, the username is MSF admin and the password also is MSF admin. I'm in, then all I need to find here after logging in is the IP address, which I'm using if config command. There it is. For now, it is .2 because I've changed the NAT network. 10. This is the address, 10.0.2.4. So I just need to get it. And when I'm booting up my attacking machine, because they are in the same network in one way or another, if I will scan that, it will scan this machine. If I will attack that particular IP, it will attack this machine. So that's it for today. And this is what I wanted to get. But I emphasize that this is just for the basic setup. But as you grow up, you need to have your private lab that you can access it through VPN. Other people are working to configure the box and of course configure them in level of difficulty, the simple, the medium. That is the way you can actually improve your skills, because like the one that I've just put is very basic and very straightforward. And of course, it's what we need for beginners, the level that we are now. But as we move on, you need to have that kind of a network. But for those who are serious, even now, you can start having that private labs so that you can have a varieties of boxes on the same scenario to test your skills. So that's it for today. Until next time, if you have any issue, please WhatsApp us on the bottom right number of this screen. We can respond to you. And please remember to share. As I've been saying, this knowledge, I'm preparing it, and I want it to reach as many people as possible. So the only thing you need to do is to share to your colleague that we have this channel, we get these skills so that we make the most of it. Have a good day.